how this thing says I'm in the show and everyone can see and hear you, but I'm still afraid to pick my nose during the intro. Just to be safe.
I just burped really loud and Billy muted me and then unmuted me. I was like, oh shit.
Nice move.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Libertarius Podcast. I'm Hugh.
I'm Meg.
And joining us tonight is Danique. Thank you very much. Billy has to work on some stuff for work. So Danique was kind enough to come and join us. And we have a lot of really good things that we want to talk about today. Danique's very excited. Danique, do you want to tell us about the first thing that you remembered about like 2.5 minutes ago?
Are you really going to put me on a rant first thing?
I'll start with the
Perfect.
rant. I can do 20 minutes on China alone if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, get me warmed up. Get me spicy.
Okay, all right. So I was reading the news this morning, and I saw an article that said China's leader, he said to his troops to prepare for war. And, of course, everybody who's even kind of been watching the news has probably seen an article here or there regarding China and what's going on in the Pacific with tensions in Taiwan and that we're selling Taiwan rocket launchers or some horse shit. I don't know. So I came up with a game, and Billy, if you wouldn't mind throwing it up there for me, I came up with a game. It's more of a list, but I came up with a thing. It is the 8. I clicked the wrong one. Fuck it. It's the 8 things a service member can do to prepare for war with China. I'm very excited about the whole thing. Prep for war with China.
Oh my god. What the fuck?
I'm not even mad.
It's China. Okay.
All right, here you go. First things first. This one's for you, Matt. Make sure your junk drawer is stocked with duck and soy sauces. Matt keeps all of them. And first of all, everybody keeps it in the junk drawer. Don't pretend like you have like a nice space for it. Matt keeps a handful of them in the junk drawer at all times. So, yes, this is what you should do. Also, if you start drinking it ahead of time, you can boost your immunity for the war. Just a heads up. It's like the flu shot for them. Reset your TikTok so the enemy doesn't know your location or your idiotic habits. Frankly, I hope TikTok goes away. I fucking hate it. And I hate when people send me TikTok videos. I find them to be some of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. Somebody took Vine and made it stupider, and now we have TikTok.
Wait, what about the one Billy sent us today?
I'm
arrested.
not saying that none of them are funny. I just don't find any of them to be worth the amount of time I had to watch them. Vine was perfect. 6 seconds in and out. Phrasing.
I'm like a wonderful Karen, and I watch plant videos and home DIYs.
What about you, Danique? You watch any TikTok videos?
No.
I
tried. I tried real hard.
Matt doesn't make you watch any?
Yes, Sweetie. I eat the duck sauce.
I will be. Prep for war. Get it together, Air Force. Come on now.
You'll be there too. That.
Oh, Hugh, I know how you prep for war with the duck sauce. The original white bowl system.
The white bowl system? What's that?
When we lived in Florida, the perfect size white bowls. You would put all kinds of shit in it, put all kinds of sauce over it, microwave it, and apparently it tasted okay.
Oh, yeah. I just need the nutrients. I don't give a damn about the flavor. So I would just throw everything into a white bowl, microwave it. Yeah, a little bit of duck sauce on top. It's fucking perfect, man. It's the way to go.
I feel like Hugh cooking any ethnic food would be questionable. Like,
I didn't say it was
if it's like a meat, if it's like anything barbecued or meat, it's good. But anything that's like, let me try something that's like Japanese or Chinese or like Italian, and I feel like I might die. I don't know.
Too much time, too much effort. What I do is
Hugh is more like a small tactical Chef Ramsay. Like if he is gonna cook, he's going all the fuck out. And I mean, like there's the little ramekins with the little ingredients all lined up first, and it's definitely a Gucci recipe, whatever it is. Except for that one time with that crock pot.
Oh yeah, I ruined Danique's crock pot and panicked because I wasn't sure if like somebody gave it to her as a gift. So I was trying to order like a new replacement, and I was freaking the fuck out. And I tried to hide it, and then I was like, Matt, I gotta tell you something right now. We need to go. Let's go outside. He's like, bro, I fucking ruined her crock pot. He said, what do you mean? I'm like, I left it in there for like 3 days. I thought it was on like low, but it was like heat still or something. I don't even. How do I get a new one? He's like, bro, you better fucking tell her. And then she was. I bought her a full replacement one, and it was like no big deal. But Matt let me for like 2 or 3 days think that I was about to lose my head.
Yeah, he left like some kind of barbecue sauce on.
Barbecue spare ribs.
On like
Barbecue
simmer,
spare ribs with
which turned
bok choy,
into
green onion, and barbecue sauce.
which turned into some kind of molasses and then some kind of hot lava cement, and then it splintered.
Yeah, turns out reheating it does not work. So, all right, number 6. When adjusting your rifle at the range, 2 clicks down as your adversary will be shorter on average.
Oh my God.
That is so inappropriate.
Oh my God. Wait, what about that one basketball player? I don't know if he's Chinese, but like they got some tall people there. I don't know.
That's okay.
Really, actually, and Hugh means that because the age of their Olympic members is always questionable.
Yeah.
It's not size related.
Well,
They can be tall, but as long as you're organized, like if you lower down, like if you're shooting right here and you lower and then you get a tall person, all guts, you're good to go.
Well, Hugh, for you and I, it would be like you just go straight. For somebody like Denise height or taller, then they would be the 2 clicks. But
Denise's combat boots add 2 inches as well, so she's gonna have to aim downwards.
This makes me sound like some tall Sasquatch.
All right, number 5. Despite popular belief, you cannot rub Chinese people's bellies for good luck. Turns out it's culturally inappropriate.
In any culture.
Didn't know that.
In any culture, actually.
Didn't know.
I would love to hear that you actually tried doing this.
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, so this has happened.
Number 4. They're now called Honda Civics, not rice burners, just for safety.
Oh my God. When
I was in California, this was like, if somebody was going to call it a rice burner, it was a Honda Civic for sure. Not even a question. Maybe a Nissan Supra. I don't even know if that's a thing.
What about a Toyota Camry?
I thought about going Toyota Camry, but I noticed more honkies owning them now.
Or like Suzuki or Subaru.
I didn't even know Suzuki was still around.
Yeah, well, the old ones. You soup them up.
Is
that what they do? Sound like a lawnmower.
I ain't got time for that. All right, number 3. Chinese aircraft carriers have a ramp at the end. Do not attempt to skateboard on them until you're sure they're ours.
Wait, they have aircraft carriers?
Yes, technically.
That sounds so dumb.
Technically, the Chinese Navy is larger than the American Navy with like 316 vessels or something, whereas ours is 295. But their aircraft carriers have like a small lip at the end. I don't know if it's like an oomph. I don't know if it's like when you do shot put and you like scream at the end to get like that extra, whatever you need. But it's there. It looks dumb as hell. Yeah, you gotta do your research. All right, number 2. Do not, I repeat, do not try and bring a panda home in your trunk. Don't do it.
But they're so cute.
I'm inclined to agree with you. Wouldn't do it. I guarantee it'll be the first thing somebody tries to bring back.
Definitely a Marine.
Yeah, it'll be some dumbass on TikTok. Panda, 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 panda. And I still won't get it. I still won't get it. All right, and finally, wipe down all viruses with your new American Service Member wet wipes. Now coronavirus and BPA free. I guarantee the first fucking day I get there, there will be like, hey, take a free pack of baby wipes. Here's a 30 pack. And it'll say American Service Member standard issue wipe, something, 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 something free. I guarantee it. Not even a question.
There's going to be all this like, it'll probably, if it's for American service members, it's got to, you have to make sure it says gluten free and dairy free, nut free, soy free.
Although if they're not, that'll be a really fun game to play in the barracks. Finding the allergy-ridden kid who's going to stay and watch for you so you can go to war.
Yeah, right.
And Hugh's going to hell. Make sure you get the Wi-Fi password.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, that all having been said, I did actually read a lot about China, and I went into a rant about it on Billy's old podcast. So for people who are thinking that you're just going to sleep on China, they're building islands. They're worried about shipping. There are disputes with Taiwan. So if you're thinking that you're about to retire out of the military in the next 10 years and not have to worry, I would say maybe do a little bit extra cardio and stop being part of the 3 mile a year club. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you can wave out of that and you can just do the elliptical or the bike.
You mean the fat roller and the Peloton?
I did that. I did all of those. I was like, fuck it, I can't run.
I don't
I'm
know why
fat as
people.
shit.
I don't know why people do that. You have to work harder on the bike and the elliptical.
Oh no. If your weight is lower, you don't need to burn as much. I would burn 100 calories
If
on
your
there
weight's lower, why can't you run?
because I'm made for lifting, not for running.
Hmm.
I'm not made for speed. These
Apparently,
tree
her
trunks
spine
don't move
tech
that
center
fast.
told her that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll make a nice, very easy, obvious, and not at all uncomfortable transition. Let's talk about that sailor on the Reagan.
Oh,
Ooh,
well,
yeah.
first of all, holy shit sandwich for that crew.
Yeah, right. That boat's
Man.
going to have a terrible reputation.
I mean, seriously, what's going on that ship? I mean, they've had a rough year. They were the one that was notorious where the captain of the CO got relieved of command eventually after asking for help. So they had that whole Rona thing where they were in Guam isolating. So from what I understand, they already had a really long pump the first time around.
Now they're back at sea.
They got home with all the quarantining that entails. And now they were told that they're basically get ready. So I'm sure with, the new normal that is parenting, you're the school teacher at home and like who's essential and who's not essential. Like there's so much shit coming at people financially, economically, like who the hell knows what's going on, but they probably need to take a much closer look. Because he used a service weapon.
Yeah. He didn't hang himself. He didn't OD. He went and checked in for his watch, grabbed his weapon, probably paddled around for a little bit, and then was like, "Oh, here we go. Time's up." I can't relate. Never having been on a ship. My first deployment. I mean, we were cramped into a tent, and 10 of us and a lot of gear on one location. So I wasn't living in a Hilton or anything like that, but. I mean, I couldn't imagine what it must be like to have to be not only attached to that boat, given what's been going on in the last year, but just the working and living conditions out at sea. And I assume that's probably why we don't do long times between port calls. Meg, you didn't see that? What was
literally fractional amount of time on a ship, but the only thing I remember when we went underway was it felt continuously mentally exhausting. Like there's never an off downtime like you have no chance to read anything. Like shit, shower, and shave was the only time you see your rack. And then you're doing watch, you're doing weird things, you're doing birthing, whatever. So it just felt like there's never an off time. And I'm sure depending on what stress you had, because when I was on a ship, I didn't really have 2020 going on.
Right.
Or like extenuating life circumstances. So I can't even imagine the pressures to then go out in a steel shell, like knowing the stress level up ahead.
Meg, the first time you were underway and you were just standing on the flight deck or the fantail or whatever the fuck you called it, and there was nothing going on, were you relaxed? Did you enjoy it? Were you like, this sucks? Fuck this. I could swim that far.
Aviation is very, very different from those that are attached to the ship. So aviation does not stand watches unless you are forward deployed. So I went out on a detachment. I was in an expeditionary squadron. So
you were just there to make sure the bird got from A to B properly. Or did its operations, but like if there was no work, if the bird wasn't doing shit, did you have other shit to do?
So I will tell you this. I can't tell you why we went out there, but we got a call. They were like, pack your bags. We leave in 36 hours. And I was like, okay, well, shoot. All right. So I went, got my gorilla case, packed it all with snacks and everything, packed all of our shit up in the hangars back on base, and flew our helicopters, flew us up to Norfolk because that's where our ship was, and we were gone in 36 hours.
Okay.
It was an emergency thing. So expeditionary means that you are basically on call 24/7. If something goes on, you have to go, and they rotate between detachments. So my detachment was the one that was going to go out, but we had 6 detachments. One of them was a home port one. So we get out there, and they're like, they told us the first day, they're like, hey, we could be out for a week. This could turn into a deployment. We don't know. They were like, we have no idea how long we'll be out here. Just prepare for it. And we had like minimal. We had very minimal. I think I brought like a week's worth of clothes, and I was like, well, I just have to do laundry on the ship. Like, you know, you do it, and you get on there and you start like pulling away. But you, first off, I didn't want to get into my uniform and like stand at parade rest, like while the ship is pulling out. So I stood in my coveralls, like peeked outside of the ship and was like, all right, we're out. Okay, cool. Now we got to do this. But I worked night shift, the majority of it. So I didn't really see daylight for 40 days.
How was that though?
I honestly love night shift. I think it's great, but it's very different from being like attached to the ship and like ship's company, because those poor guys and gals would run around for 12 hours a day doing their actual job, and then like 6 hours they'd have a watch, and they wouldn't sleep. They'd have like 2 hours of sleep. So while they were on watch, they would actually come to the hangar with us at night, and we'd be like, hey, want to take a seat in our chair? We got some fold out chairs over here. You want to sit down? And they were like, fuck yes, I do. And if we had actually like gone out on a full deployment, we probably would have brought like video games, TVs, like the whole thing. We didn't have any of that. So we just played on our cell phones, like phone games the whole time. I brought a few books. But they do not stop working. For aviation, like, yeah, we don't really stop working, because if we have flight ops, depending on what it is, you have to be there within half an hour. So if you're the only qualified person, then you have to be up there to make sure that that bird flies. I remember some days working like 16-hour shifts. So that was.
But for the most part, you really didn't have the same schedule that everybody else did.
No, because you're in a flight status. So because
but how long does that last?
If you work 16 hours, they have to give you an extra 3 hours, or they have to give you some extra time to sleep that on the other side, because you have to have that sleep time to maintain your mental capacity. And that's
you have to have an extra 3 hours to maintain mental capacity, but you don't need enough sleep to stay and watch on a guided missile destroyer. Sure.
That is the thing.
Yeah, that's up.
So, as a mechanic, if my engine goes down, each person on there, each soul on board is a count of manslaughter. So if my aircraft went up and it fought it out because I dropped a nut in there, I dropped a screw, and it fought it out the engine, which is FOD means foreign object damage. So basically just like shit storms the engine from the inside. If it does that, each person, and I'm the last person that signs, each person on board is a count of manslaughter.
There are probably worse things to do in life.
It was pretty stressful, but that's not. Yeah, those guys on board, they had it tough.
So not being all right, but so we're going to talk about the Reagan, which is not an expeditionary status, which you were. So they're ship's company. So we're going to assume that they're like underway already sucks balls, because underway time is never that fun.
24 hours a day, and every minute's accounted for already.
But the reality is, if we're still having and currently having that many suicides, and let's talk about that article that came out on, was it NPR or PBS, one of those?
Yeah.
Where the suicide rates currently are, 20 to 30% higher for Air Force and Army, respectively.
Yeah.
Navy, Marine Corps chose not to submit their numbers, but we're currently seeing that on our Facebook stream.
Yeah.
That's probably a reason for that.
The concern is, like, with everything going on, are we still just beating around the bush and kicking a can down the road when it comes to how open door policy is this mental health thing? How accessible is this mental health thing? And how safe do people really feel going to seek any kind of support without losing their clearance, losing their job, losing their deployment status, losing their family? I don't know what else can I fucking go on about that they could possibly lose in fear with this stigma. Because the suicide rate, and let's add the training accident rate, because, to make sure the family gets benefits, we try and make it a training accident most of the time. Let's be real.
Sure.
It's fucked. It's absolutely fucked.
Yeah.
Like putting a Band-Aid on a barrel we shot from every fucking angle with a 50.
I don't understand. I think that there's a myriad of answers to what this problem is. I think number one is, and I said it a few episodes ago, we have a lot of people that join the military at a certain time, and then a lot of the other people that were with them got out, and then due to necessity, we just promoted these other people through the ranks, not being qualified. So now we have personnel in senior enlisted positions training or speaking to their junior troops like the stress situation is the way that it was when they first came up, or speaking to them the way that they were talked to. Now, I don't necessarily disagree with the way that you were spoken to under high stress situations, but if you can't properly articulate in non-stressful situations, then all you hear is that you're getting yelled at. And if you do something that isn't in the best interest of the Navy, then we're going to burn you. So if you can't properly tell people, hey, listen, if you're hurt or something's wrong, you need to let us know. You can go to medical. You're not going to get punished. You're not going to lose rank. You're not going to lose your clearance and whatnot. Like if you need help, you need help. We want you back at 100%. So this is how we do it. But instead, what I think they're hearing is side stories and whatnot, or personal opinions of what these personnel think about asking for help, getting treatment, and they're like, that's not worth it. Or they'll just say, I'll just suck it up and I'll do it at the next command, and then the next command, and then the next command, because you don't just go from ship A to ship B in after 3 or 4 years and not have a promotion. There are jobs that are going to come available. You're going to get more and more responsibility. And eventually you're going to run out of the time to go get treatment, and you're going to prioritize your job over your own mental health and hope that the endorphins and the stress of work just keep you focused enough.
Another thing I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Nick.
Another thing was on the ship. So ship's company people, they would work nonstop. There was one girl across the rack from me. She wouldn't even change out of her coveralls. The coveralls that she literally sat in like piss water and shit. She would sleep in her rack in them because she didn't have enough time to change. I could not imagine those people having enough time taking away from their sleep schedule to go see the chaplain. They're not going to allow them to do that if they're on watch or if they're working. They're going to be like, no, suck it up.
Let me interrupt. I agree with you. I think that that's what they would say. Is they will say, I think that you would. First of all, you have to let somebody go see the chaplain. But I agree that they would say, no, I know you want to go see the chaplain, but I really need you to suck it up to get this done. We'll get you that time later. And then you do it because that's your job, is to follow orders. And then you don't go back and ask, or you do go back and ask. They say, hey, we don't have time right now. We'll get you later. And then you just stop going back and asking. And then you create sailors like her who just sleep in their dirty clothes and create terrible health situations for themselves.
Yeah, and they don't. And I mean, I've seen chiefs on the ship just be like, stop being such a fucking pussy, man up. Like, you're out here to do a job.
Talking like it's a goddamn tin can Navy again.
Yeah, and it's like, no, dude, like people have problems. Like some people might have left their 6-month-old baby back home to be on this shit, and you're yelling at them. They might have postpartum depression. Like,
yeah. Think?
I mean, to what you guys are saying, chaplains, for me, it's a mixed bag. I've heard some not so great stories about people reaching out to the chaplain corps or religious program specialists, whatever the hell they're called now, and it not always going so well. So I'm not sure if they need to be taught a little bit of emotional intelligence over there. Like, it's not just all about the book of God, but also just a little bit of human-to-human interaction. Just be a good fucking person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. But overall, the way you're talking about the chiefs, like we had a girl like that on the ship too. We had to do a health and comfort. I was the only female MA. So any of those situations, I had to get called. But this is an absolute failure in leadership because you have no excuse, even if you were a peer to shitty people that got out, or that was your leadership that taught you everything. Nowadays, with LinkedIn courses and everything the Navy offers, you have absolutely no excuse to still act like the douchebag that raised you in the military. It's your responsibility to absolutely become a better person than the one before you. Like, you're responsible literally for the nation's military and defense. And if you're going to be a shitty leader, you're basically causing a hole in our front line, one way or another.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those people need to be called out too. All that, the shitty leadership that just does not give a fuck about the mental health and well-being of their sailors and their shipmates, fucking call them out.
Stop protecting your bros. Like, that's, I promise you,
they don't
will
care about
not pay their bills later. They will not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that there is a time and a place for that kind of tough love and whatnot, but a day-to-day routine is not one of them. If you're just sailing through the fucking water. You're just sailing through the fucking water. There's nothing going on.
Yeah.
Why can't you fucking find somebody else? Do it your damn self. The other thing being, you said, you got to call those people out because their boys are not going to take care of them in the long run. Like, they're not going to stand by you. Like, they might try to defend you if an accusation is made, but then like when it really starts to get going, they're gonna be like, oh man, no, like we had no idea, and they're gonna burn you. And I think that's
pussy in this, and they can't stand up for what they did. They're gonna be pussy.
Yeah, you're right, and that's I wholly believe that you should do that as a service member as well, because at the end of the day, you're just a dollar value and you're replaceable. So if you can't wrap your head around the fact that, I mean, I can either go and get help and keep being worth something here, or I could kill myself. Either way, they'll get somebody else. Or they'll either get me for my dollar value, or they'll get somebody else cheaper currently. So if you can wrap your head around the fact that you're a dollar value, tell them, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't care about your schedule. I'm going to get help. I'll be back whenever. And then if you keep having a problem with it, I'll keep going up. I got absolutely no problem with it. Your rank is not this ultimate divide between you and assistants. You have been delegated this position to do a job, and if you're not doing it, thankfully we now have a reporting process to handle that situation.
Yeah, I feel like junior enlisted need to be informed that these positions are not like God positions. Like, you are not the ultimate authority. Somebody is always above you, and that if you don't get the right answer, or if you don't get an answer that you're really looking for, then keep going, keep trying, keep asking questions, because there's always going to be somebody that will be able to help you in the end.
Yep. Danique, do you think that mental health resources for veterans are declining right now as well?
I mean,
or at least the access?
I think access is, again, a mixed bag. The VA is definitely struggling. You know, I mean, they're trying to stay with the Rona and doing everything they can. There's a lot of organizations trying to take some of that burden. However, everybody's also financially struggling a lot. I'm seeing a lot of organizations downsizing, closing down. People are losing their positions. So even veterans that were relying on their spouse's health care because it was better and had more access, like if that spouse lost their job, like they're back to relying on the VA. So also the burden on the system is different.
Right.
I think it's worse right now. I definitely think it's worse.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't know what the VA is doing here, but I finally, after an hour on the phone with them the other day, they're moving me to a Hampton clinic that I didn't even know, a Portsmouth clinic that I didn't even know existed. So I don't know if they're standing up a new clinic due to volume or what. But the earliest time I could speak with my primary care person was November 19th. Now, to be fair, when I did first file, it was like a 7-month waiting period to see my first person. But I don't know. I have mixed feelings because the coronavirus has shown that there's a lot of things that can be done from home. So I don't really understand why there aren't more appointment availabilities via Zoom. You're not in the office. Nobody's bothering you. Nobody's coming in and out. You're not obligated to go do shit with other people. All you have to do is your Zoom calls with your patients, the paperwork while you're doing it, type it up and file. And maybe that's just like a really closed mind way of looking at it.
So one of the big issues, and like that's not the VA's fault, there's a shortage on that profession. Mm-hmm. So you're also trying to pull from a talent pool to get those people to even work there. Also think about what these people are expected to listen to. So you have to respect not everybody wants to listen to our stories. And the hiring process, and that's USA Jobs, period. Somebody please take that website down and let it die. It's the most corrupt and slowest thing possible. Like, why does it still exist? It is so fucked from beginning to end. But I've heard the most atrocious stories about trying to hire clinical social workers for endangered population in the VA, like the homelessness and stuff. And those processes to fill a job that is already vacated, meaning it's empty.
Right.
9 months to 16 months.
What?
That's absolutely asinine.
And that meant other people in the office have to take that caseload. So if more than one person left, whoever's left has all the caseload for that region. So when people fall through the cracks, you can't even get mad. Because what is this person supposed to do when they're expecting these other roles to be filled?
Yeah.
But it's taking the process so long, and it's so bureaucratic that if you don't check this box, you can't move to this forward meeting, and you can't, like, unless this review committee and whatever other Benjamin Franklin tax you got to pay. You know, it's a screwed up system. Like, I had a optometry call. So I had an experience with the VA where they did a Zoom call with me. Granted, it was only over the phone, but it was my primary. Mm-hmm. So much easier than the 45 minutes in the town, waiting in the waiting room, dealing with the front desk, having to get weighed by somebody who's super biased about everything about me. And then I get stuck in a room and I wait another 20 minutes.
Hey, you don't care. You don't care for the people at the front desk at Richmond, anyways.
No. I have a note in my file. Full disclosure, I have a note in my file. Like, I am the meanest person on the phone. Like, please, you are better off hanging up. I will make your grandchildren cry. They're not even born yet.
Oh, did you see what Matt said?
So angry.
I forgot we had a lot of comment.
Oh, I've reported people at this point. Like, no.
Oh.
Anyway, so the VA calls me, the triage nurse. She does all the prelim stuff, and she's like, "Your doc will call you in 10 minutes." So I'm sitting there drinking my coffee on my porch, and then my doc calls me, and I'm like, "I need this and this and this. I need this prescription authorized. I need a referral to this." I get off the phone, I go upstairs, I shower, and I start my day. Like, I didn't have to do shit. So from a time efficiency aspect for both parties, it's way better.
Sure.
However, optometry calls me because I'm informed I don't need a referral. So I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's make an appointment. He's asked me all these questions. He's like, no, you need a referral. I'm like, I'm talking to you at optometry. Like, we're already at the point where we're making an appointment. He's like, no, the questions you just answered state that you do need to talk to your primary care about getting optometry. I'm like, how do you think we started this conversation? I talked to my primary care this morning, asked for a referral. She said I didn't need one. However, she put one in. Hence, you called me. Now we're talking about the appointment, and you're telling me I need a refer. Like, I don't understand how this circle jerk's going to go, or where I jump in on this. You know what I'm saying? Are you as confused as I am?
I mean, I would like to be, but having done this myself, I'm less surprised. And if you don't smile, it just seems terrible.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure if I'm getting an optometry appointment or not.
But you're on the phone with the optometrist, right?
Well, he said, you know, if you change your answer, then I can send you out in town. I'm like, then change whatever answer you need to send me out in town. And he said, have a good day, and hung up. So I don't know where we stand.
What the heck?
So part of it's really efficient, and then part of it's this circle jerk where it's like, well, you didn't check that one box, so you have to go back to start. Like, it's the Monopoly game, and I didn't do something right.
Yeah.
I was supposed to get, I have to get an ultrasound every year because I've had cysts removed. They put in a consult for my ultrasound. Ultrasound people didn't call me. I called them on the last day. I didn't realize it was the last day. I was like, hey, nobody called me. I'm supposed to have an appointment for an ultrasound because I also need like 2 x-rays as well. And they were like, oh yeah, we'll call you back as soon as we can. I'm just going to talk to the doctor to see if you really need it. You know, 29-year-old woman comes in and she says she needs an ultrasound. They're going to question that and be like, no, you don't. So like 2 days later, I don't hear anything. So I'm like, well, let me call my doctor again. I call the office up, the front desk ladies in Philadelphia. They don't really like me because I cursed the one out the one day. I was pissed. So they're like, I told her I don't give a shit about her life. And they told me, they were like, oh, your consult dropped that day that you called. And I was like, well, can you put another consult in? Because I need an ultrasound. I have to have one every year. And she was like, yeah, we'll put one in. And I think that was like mid-September. So I haven't heard anything. And I don't even care anymore. Fuck it. Like, I'm so done trying to get in contact with them.
See, this is the stuff that I don't understand is you're saving all this time doing these video appointments. You would think it'd be easier and more streamlined when you do have to go in. Hey, send me my paperwork ahead of time. I'll print it out, fill it out, and bring it in, then done. And realistically, there's probably a lot of other older veterans that are not going due to the health risks of the coronavirus. Like, why don't you have openings? Like, when you have these cancellations, why are you not pulling the next available person and plugging them into these spots and moving down the line? I don't get it.
Also, that website, My Healthy Vet,
I fucking hate it.
Awful.
I fucking hate My Healthy Vet. Let me fucking. So you cannot send a private message. I can't fucking send a private message to my primary care people. I can send it to the PTSD clinic, the PTSD clinic thing. They called me one time. I can email them for some reason. And for whatever reason, before I got up here, I attempted to start a claim in Jacksonville before I moved. And by attempted, I mean I literally went in and did my first round of paperwork. I can email the North Florida, Southeast Georgia VA, but I can't email the VA here in Hampton that's 18 minutes up the road.
Email the Florida one and tell them to fucking bounce.
Oh, I do. Oh, no, I email them, and then the same woman, she's very polite. She calls me every time. She's like, you again? I'm like, I don't know what to do, ma'am. I don't know. And the worst part is, I'll tell you what the worst part is. I don't understand why these constantly voicemails.
Yeah.
Because of HIPAA, bro.
Hey, I'm calling from this department. Here's our extension.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that would make sense.
All it says is the VA called. No shit, the VA called. I got the problems. They're supposed to be
especially it's always the main line.
Oh, yeah, they call from the main line. Just let me know. I'm so-and-so from this department. Please call us back at this extension. That's it. How fucking hard is that? You're not answering more phone calls with the time you save not leaving me a voicemail. So, come on, man. Just leave the voicemail, rip ass and pee into a cup real quick, and get on the next call because you're clearly not doing anybody any good this way.
Rip ass and pee into a cup.
Man, you're angry.
I am really angry, but I'm also really angry because I read that article today about Gulfport. The CB base in Gulfport is opening these safe rooms, and I think that this is going to. So first of all, what it is. Naval Construction Battalion Center Gulfport opened up these safe rooms for personnel that are having domestic issues at home to check in, to de-escalate the situation so they don't make any rash decisions or make any decisions that they're going to regret later. So my understanding is when you check into this building, your command gets notified. But I do not think that you are obligated to make a report. So while I feel that this is a move in the right direction to kind of helping people that are going through issues, I wonder if you can just check into this room to get away for up to 7 days, I think, by the way. I wonder how that's going to affect or how it's going to affect deployability and if personnel changes are going to have to be made and affect other detachments because, hey, while that person checked in and made 0 reports, they checked in 3 times in the last 2 months. Are we sure we want to send them to this environment? Because we don't know what's going on with them. I just worry that it's kind of a slippery slope, and maybe I'm not looking at it the right way. What do you guys think?
I haven't read the article or the intention for the pod, the room or whatever. I do know that like the domestic violence numbers are up like crazy,
right?
Especially with dual military and stuff. So I'm wondering if it has something to do with getting somebody out of a situation.
Having to pick and choose who's going to work. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but I mean, also people now are like, again, raising their kids and like doing the whole teacher thing. And I don't know what else is going on. So maybe this is also to alleviate other stressors depending on, I don't know. Other than that, I mean, if this is really like a safety pod because you need a timeout.
Well, so what I think is.
Did we have that in boot camp with those cards? Like right after I graduated, they
did it for a very small amount of time.
Yeah, they didn't even do it for me.
What I think in Gulfport is, pardon me, I think that they're using the old barracks. In Gulfport, they have the availability because there are buildings that are not being used as individual barracks anymore. But other bases, if they wanted to use that model, I don't know that other bases have those facilities, and I wonder how much money is the government going to spend on providing people what is essentially a safe space, a thing that I will continue to shit all over, and take that money away from the base operating budget. And so instead of in lieu of updating base facilities, we're providing people a location to go in which, but it doesn't seem like we're really providing them the training on how to solve these domestic issues. Because you can go to these safe spaces and call base the other facilities on base like Fleet and Family and whatnot. But why don't you just, and again, I get that this is maybe a very linear way of thinking. Why don't you just call Fleet and Family first instead of staying in the night away from your family, who, you know, one of you is probably angry still and the other is probably very upset. And then maybe you go back after 2 or 3 days, but like maybe you don't report anything either. Whether if you're, let's say you're a victim of abuse and you don't make any report, you're just going to go back. What if it's just emotional stuff? It's work related. You don't call anybody though, that you just go back. You just needed 2 days away.
I will say that Fleet and Family, it is somewhat difficult to go to them. They do not offer the best services. Like some of them are very like, you walk in, it's kind of like going into the medical VA. Yeah. Like you're like,
I'm inclined to agree.
This woman hates her life. She's probably gonna scream at me.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, but it's better than calling nobody.
Yes. Because
at least if you don't like it, you can go and say, "Hey, that didn't work out. Get me somebody else."
Yes, I feel like these safe rooms, safe things, it's a step in the right direction, but there is a lot that could possibly go wrong. Like, what makes them safe? Is it that it has double locks on it? Is it the fact that there's a watch? What if that watch is from your same command? Is it a rotating watch of like first classes and chiefs or E6s and E7s? How do you know that that person isn't also telling, like saying, oh yeah, this person was in the safe room this weekend? That's all gossip. Like, how do you know how safe it's really going to be? And whatever person is in that situation, one, they're probably embarrassed that they're even there to begin with, and they might not be ready to handle whatever demons they're challenging in their life. So,
I mean, first off, who the fuck named it a safe room? Like, that's the dumbest thing they could have come up with for anybody to ever want.
Makes me think of that horror movie where they're like
stuck in it really depends on the perception on who's using it and what for. So if they gave it basically the wrong name and we're completely misinterpreting its intended use, I mean, the Navy's done dumber things.
Yeah, that's true. You know, there's a building in San Diego shaped like a swastika.
Interesting.
Yeah, but when it was designed, it was like an eco choice with like wind flow, but like it's been there for like since like the 50s or 60s. It's not new, but people found it a few years ago and panicked. But I agree. I left the house one night because I was worried about my clearance and things got, you know, not okay. Yeah. So I mean, I guess I would have gone there, but if it's again reported to the chain of command, like that's the whole thing you don't want your chain of command involved. Like you don't want to lose your clearance or, you know, no longer being armed up. Well, like all your chain of command gets notified that you checked in, and then then it's fucking stupid. Yeah, so they already know, and they're like, "Do you want to make a report?" No. Then you can just ask for a barracks room that night. Like that's basically what we did 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, Meg. I think it might be a step in the right direction. I just hope it doesn't become this like, oh, well, this is how we've solved this problem, and not this is how we're working on this problem. I think it's very you have to have a very clear distinction. We're not solving it by providing you a space to go away from your family and whatnot. We're working on solving a problem, and this is one step in what will be, you know, a process.
I just thought of this, but what if a person used it to commit suicide so they didn't do it in the house where their family is?
Yeah,
Is it one person per room? Netherlands just started those suicide pods.
Oh, dope.
What?
Like those medical ones?
Yeah.
Self-suicide thing?
Yeah.
Wait, for old people or anybody?
If you have it's basically prescription based. If you're terminal with certain things and you can get a script, they have suicide pods.
That's awesome. I love
where you choose.
But like a 15-year-old can't walk in there.
No, it's. I mean, it's.
I was thinking they're like out on the street, like
Like,
"Hey,
no,
you have that day.
sign up here.
Yeah, like
Picture more medical spa with
Okay.
probably a lot of checks and balances.
I love that. That's a great idea.
yeah.
But I mean, it sounded, depending on what circumstances I was under, I could definitely envision, that being a good option. You choose, I guess, the methodology to an extent, and there's
a lot of control there.
Ambiance and stuff, yes, and then I guess it's a very clean, safe disposal, almost like a human poop bag.
Yeah.
Just like cremate you.
Look at them getting it all together.
I don't know. It's not.
Closes it all up. No person has to come in and do after cleanup. It's
Yeah.
I'm thinking back to I used to work in a hospital and we had to take a dead body away.
In booth.
You had to take a dead body away, and it's like very different. You like look at them and you're like, are they just sleeping? Like, is this person okay? And you're like, you have to remind yourself this person just died. I remember having to like pick them up off of this.
We had to go to
put him on the gurney, and then they were like, take him to the morgue. And I was like 18, like wheeling this. I felt so bad. But that's interesting how they would dispose of the body.
And it's clean. Nobody has any kind of trauma. I mean,
out there, they're probably just making a street.
It's
they're like
traumatic in its own way for some people.
Yeah.
So.
Fucking crazy.
But I had to talk to you guys at the networking event, and I didn't get to share a fun story from that time with one of the networking people. I'll try and keep it vague because I don't want to call that person like.
I was gonna say it's been 47 minutes. Are you ready? You could eat up the whole rest of our night. I don't even care.
I mean,
Yeah.
So I'm having a conversation with these people that are transitioning out of the military at this networking event, and some are enlisted, and a lot of them are officers. For anybody who didn't know, I was part of the E5 Mafia. That's how I left. So, like, that was my top rank. Kept it too.
Mafia for life.
Yeah. And I was talking to this. I had talked to one of the guys in the group already and had some ideas for different industries for him to go into. And I talked to them because I've been to networking events. I know how awkward and uncomfortable it is. And these guys are new to it. Like, they've been in the Navy for 30 years. They don't know civilian networking. And they were being like super aloof as it turned out more and more. One guy was at the same base I was a long time ago. He was an officer. I was an enlisted master at arms. And as soon as they figured out I was an E, they started like getting snooty. You know what I mean? So it was
like
really
you're not worth talking to anymore.
Basically, like, what could I possibly offer them?
And this is after you graduated with an MBA from Syracuse, right?
I mean, we're not leading with any of that. I'm just at a networking event that I'm helping host to help you guys find a motherfucking job.
Sure.
The least you can do is not be a snooty prick and maybe appreciate that I
hope they didn't get a job.
My 5 years of service and all of a sudden having 30 days to get out, my transition definitely was a different hustle than yours, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So you're 30 years in, your retirement check's going to look different. Your VA check's going to look different. You're already being basically cut by the balls during your entire transition.
Yep.
But do not ever underestimate what the E5 Mafia has accomplished since they've gotten out. Every business owner I work with, a majority of them are the same category I am. And most of the people you might end up working for with your 30-year career might have been enlisted beforehand. Just BT dubs.
I would love to see the statistics on that. To see like how the difference
out of the
between
military, which rank gets a small successful business and those who don't.
No. Which rank when they get out is the most successful?
Oh, it's got to be 5s and 6s.
Yeah,
it's got to be.
I was just talking to one of my old teachers.
I'll give you maybe some 4s, but if their rank probably went 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 4. But you know,
but it's basically people.
You're right.
When you're getting out, that rank doesn't matter. Like,
it doesn't mean shit.
ease now go drinking with officers. Like, I don't give a shit anymore.
It's so funny. Like, if you go to the O Club or the E Club on a large base, sure, that kind of stuff matters when you retire. But, like, realistically, when you meet somebody else, and like, I was a Master Chief, couldn't care less.
Like, good for you. I love you for it. But other than that, like, bro, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like,
a buddy of mine was going to University of Florida, and in the engineering department, one of his professors is a retired commander. And when the commander found out that my buddy used to be in the Navy, they would talk for a little bit, and he was like, well, you know, when I was in the Navy, I was a commander. And he goes, well, couldn't begin to fucking care less. You're still a shit professor. So good job. And he actually failed that class. And I hope it wasn't for that reason, but I do like to drink. But it doesn't matter. Your rank doesn't matter when you get out. You're only as good as the effort that you apply. Well, you should be as good as the effort you apply while you're in. But yeah, Pete, they probably went to the academy.
I will say, so the guy that did a really good job networking actually was an academy grad, which he did not immediately volunteer that information.
You shouldn't. It's not
super humble guy. I mean, he obviously works for a more elite part of the Navy, which was obvious in his public diplomacy skills. But you can tell the difference in somebody who's like, I'm going to get to my goal and I don't give a shit who's helping me. And that was that guy. Yeah. And he's like, hey, what you got? Here's my card. Let's see what shakes out. And something shook out. And the other guy's like, you are an MA2. Like, what are you going to do for me? You're right, bro. Not much, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all about your attitude.
It is about your attitude. And like, humble yourself, motherfucker. You don't know.
Dude, you know me. Like, I will move mountains for you until you fuck me.
Absolutely.
Once you're on my list, you're done.
Oh, no. I ain't got time for that. I was actually a party over at Pete's place one time, and one of his buddies from VMI came down, and as the night went on and we started talking more and more, I think he's about to join the service. I'm not 100% sure. But we started talking about my time overseas. Make the list, you dead to me. # yep. So I was talking about what I did downrange and with the Seabees and whatnot. So I asked him what he did, and he said he's about to join and he just graduated college. And then I noticed he started knocking a ring. And I was like, hey, man. I was like, hey, listen, just out of curiosity, you know what a ring knocker is? Oh, no, man, I never heard about it. I was like, well, let me tell you a story. A ring knocker is a person, regardless of branch, that when a person of lower status walks in, you just start banging that ring on the counter like, I have an education and therefore I must be superior to you. He goes, oh, was I knocking my ring again? I was like, I'm just going to say it. If you keep it up, I'm going to cut it off and take it home as a trophy.
I love it.
He was Pete. I heard Pete laugh from the fucking desk or from the deck, and the guy just like didn't get it, bro. Your status is not elevated because you have a degree or your rank or your position. Brain aneurysm is a silent killer, motherfucker. You could die tomorrow, and guess what? You still a dollar value. We go find someone to replace you, and they might not even have the degree from BMI. And nobody gets
legendary brain aneurysm.
Silent killer.
I haven't heard that since like 2014, dude.
I'm bringing it back. I'm gonna.
Oh, good.
I've decided instead of being an engineer, I'm going to be a trendsetter. If you can do it on TikTok, I should be able to do it face to face.
Just keep shaving your eyebrows.
Shut up, Meg. You cut me like a bitch.
I went to high school with a guy. He went to VMI as well, and he kept when I got back out, or when I got out and came home, he kept telling me, "Oh, I'm gonna go into the army. I'm gonna go into the army. I'm gonna be a pilot for helicopters. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this." And I was like, "Okay." And a couple months later, I was like, "Hey, did you get in?" He was like, "Nah, I didn't get in." And he kept trying to tell me, he was like, "Oh, I'm better than you because I have a degree." And I was like, "Bitch, you can't even get in the military. Fuck out of here. You didn't even serve."
The Army's literally taking felons. Get out of here.
Yeah, I was like, fuck out of here. He tried for the Navy. I'm pretty sure they denied him too. I was like, you're a fucking dick.
It's so fucking funny. You go to these places and I've known Danique. I've known Danique. I think I met you when you were at Syracuse, right?
Yeah. So
Danique was hanging out in the veterans lounge with some crusty bastards. Is still in like her third and then eventually her fourth year. But I've never once seen Danique talk to somebody as if they were less than her. And then some of these fucking people are out there with like a 4-year degree in liberal arts, talking like they're the bee's fucking knees.
They got that swagger.
They
They're
do. I'm like, oh, what do you
Yeah.
get a degree in? Like African women's studies? I'm sorry. And you want to do what with that? What do you think you're going to do for a living? Like, oh, I think I'm going to. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, you literally got that degree for run for political office. You'll be sucking dicks.
Philosophy of moral theory is probably.
Yeah.
God, moral theory? No, thanks. I like to have that morally gray area to work with.
Yeah, that's where you want to be, right?
Yeah, you know, you want your compass to be just a little fucked up that you have trouble finding your car in the parking lot.
Just don't lose it and call the police.
I mean, one time that happened. Danique, real quick, we're coming to the end of the show. Do you want to talk about the statue that's coming out soon?
Oh yeah, so for anybody who did not know, the Women's Memorial, WMSA in DC, it's right by Arlington or right outside of the Arlington gates. Women in Service to America Memorial is having a statue unveiling on the 17th, and then it's open to the public on the 18th. And it is a female person in uniform with a working dog kneeling in front of her.
Nice.
And it is in tribute to all women in service. No, it's not just canine handler specific. It was just the artist, and it's sponsored by the U.S. War Dog Association.
Dope.
So I'm really excited to go on Saturday. And there's some articles on social. I think Stripes did one. It's a beautiful statue. So I'll definitely share pictures.
It's right outside the gates of Arlington.
Yeah, so that large white monument you see before you turn into the gates to go through security in Arlington, and what you're walking up to,
Oh,
or
okay.
the right, actually, is WMSA.
By the bridge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Might have to do a field trip.
Hold on. By the bridge?
Might take the kids I nanny.
No, you're like you park in the Arlington parking lot.
Oh, okay. I got it.
It's literally outside the gate. Like they share an address.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
Well, on your way up there, go check out the CV statue. It's on the other side, right outside the bridge. And then, go check out the WMSA statue. I didn't even know it was there. I've been to DC like 4 fucking times. People kept telling me it's in DC by Arlington. Didn't even know. So, Billy says the Navy Museum is building a whole new facility with 4D displays at the Washington Navy Yard. I saw that. I'm super stoked about it.
Right?
I hope it's interactive. You know, like.
Oh, because they like don't already touch enough shit with beavers and buttons.
Whatever. I just want it to be like interactive, where you could be like the guy on dropping the bombs on Hiroshima, or like you napalm a whole valley in Korea.
Listen, Denise, we're enlisted. We need touch buttons.
Man,
we're not that smart. We're not O's.
We need pictures. And not like IKEA provides pictures. Actually, IKEA does a pretty good job saying if you do this, it'll break. So maybe it'd be nice on those nuclear subs that said, hey, click in this sequence. If you do this sequence, this bad thing will happen.
But you know what? They also need a crayon box for the Marines at the entrance, so they have something to nibble on, so they don't try biting all the things.
Yeah.
Well, Danique, thank you very much for filling in for Billy tonight.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. It was better than Billy. He couldn't be here because he was doing some stuff, so he can't chime in. Thanks. So we'll look forward to having you on again. For those of you that like watching, even if you don't, Meg and Danique we're setting up a women's night, so it'll be them and a special guest, and they're going to talk about.
Want to be a special guest? Let us know.
Yes.
Yes.
Please do so. Billy will hate me if I don't say it. Please check out Liberty Risk Podcast on Facebook. We also post automatically to YouTube when we're done here. You can like us and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and I think Twitter, but I'm not 100%.
Yes, we are on the twat.
We're on Twitter. You can also email us if you have any questions or topics or you want to be a guest. We
have T-shirts too.
Fuck.
You want a T-shirt? Message you.
Yes, if you want a T-shirt,
T-shirts.
Send a message to Liberty Risk. You can email libertyriskpodcast@gmail. You can send us a direct message. Our first shirt is going up. Go to our page and check it out. It's the Marauder after my buddy Ed, who's currently deployed right now. So it's technically a deployment T-shirt. We're running it to the beginning of November. It's pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty excited about it, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Billy's got the next one in the works already. So, Danique, again, thank you for being here, and we'll talk to you guys later. We'll be back on Monday, 19:30.
Hi, guys.
Bye.